welcome back. I have some news to share with you all. I was told by the embryologist that I would have to wait 3 weeks for the PGS results to come back. Yesterday while I was at work I got a phone call with the PGS results 2 weeks early, which was definitely a very pleasant surprise to get that news 2 weeks earlier than expected, because the anxiety I was feeling was not fun, just the anticipation waiting for those results. So when she called yesterday and said, "I've got your PGS results," I kind of stopped breathing for a second. Of the 2 embryos that were biopsied, 1 is normal, which is amazing. I'm so relieved to have at least 1 that is normal. My fear was that both of them would be abnormal and we'd have no embryo to transfer. I was very relieved to find out that 1 of them is normal. The second one, unfortunately, is abnormal. It was missing part of chromosome 8, so wouldn't make a viable pregnancy. It's not one of the most common abnormalities, so it doesn't have a name, but unfortunately we won't be able to use that embryo. We also have a 3rd embryo that was frozen, but it wasn't hatching at time on day 5 or 6, so they weren't able to test it. They can only do PGS testing on embryos that are hatching. So we do have that 3rd embryo frozen. We don't know whether it's normal or abnormal, but obviously hoping it is normal. So we potentially have 2 normal embryos frozen, which is very exciting. I feel so relieved knowing that we definitely have 1 chromosomally normal embryo, because, you know, all these years of trying to conceive and experiencing miscarriage after miscarriage, 6 in total, my old doctor had told me that the most likely cause of miscarriage was chromosomal abnormalities in the embryo, and that it was just bad luck, that we'd had bad luck. And my fear was that we weren't able to create a normal embryo, and that, you know, how much bad luck can one couple have? Surely it's not. I mean, I realised towards the end of him being our doctor that it can't just be bad luck, that there has to be something else at play. And so just knowing that it is possible for us to produce a healthy embryo is amazing. And now it's just a matter of making sure I have a healthy pregnancy and doing everything I can to make that happen. So as you guys know, when I got my endometrial scratch done last month, I also got a biopsy done on my uterus to test the levels of my natural killer cells, and they came back elevated. My specialist likes to see levels under 12%, and my natural killer cells were at 30%. So the nurse, when she told me the news, said, "Your levels are slightly elevated, but in my eyes it seems much more than slightly elevated. You know, it's more than double." So it's definitely a potential leading cause to my miscarriages. I know for sure that one of my miscarriages was a chromosomal abnormality in the embryo. It had triploid syndrome. I mean, the natural killer cells might have been a contributing factor to that miscarriage, but that pregnancy would have ended in miscarriage regardless. But the others I had no answers for, and so this elevated natural killer cells result is really the only answer we've kind of got in this whole journey. We've been tested for so many things, autoimmune issues, so many different tests, every test under the sun it feels like, and they've all come back normal. So the natural killer cells as well as the MTHFR, although I don't believe the MTHFR gene mutation that I have isn't linked to recurrent miscarriages, so I'm not sure whether that has contributed to my miscarriages. I'm not convinced, to be honest. I feel like the natural killer cells probably have more of a part to play in my recurrent miscarriages. So being treated for it is definitely important. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, my fertility specialist wants to put me on prednisolone or prednisone, which is a steroid, on cycle day 1 of my frozen embryo transfer cycle, so pretty much 3 weeks prior to transfer, to just lower those natural killer cell levels. Natural killer cells are a good thing. Everyone needs natural killer cells to protect the body, you know, to fight off disease and infection. But when your natural killer cells are elevated, your body can see an embryo as a foreign object and try and get rid of it. So that's why it's important to keep those natural killer cell levels down, so that your body doesn't try to destroy the pregnancy, basically. So I'll be on 10 milligrams of prednisolone. I do want to talk to my doctor about potentially increasing that dose, because I have heard of other women who have been on 20 milligrams. You know, we've got one known healthy embryo, and I just want to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to help our next pregnancy and do everything right. And so prednisolone will definitely be something I'll be taking. Clexane is another thing that I'll be taking, Clexane injections. My fertility specialist mentioned something about doing them until 7 weeks pregnant. That was through a nurse. Most of the communication that I have with my specialist is through the nurse. So the nurse talks to my specialist, and then the nurse relays what the specialist has said to the nurse to me. So it's very... I've only spoken to this fertility specialist twice, I think, or no, that's a lie. I've met her twice and spoken to her 4 times. I called her the night of my trigger when I freaked out, and I called her the day after I took the pill when I was vomiting and didn't think it was a normal reaction. So I have called her in an emergency twice and seen her twice. But all other information is through a nurse. So it's a little bit frustrating because you have to wait to get the answer, and if the nurse tells you what the fertility specialist says and it triggers another question, you have to yet again wait, you know, a day or so to get an answer. So it's a bit irritating not dealing with her or speaking with her direct, but I guess she's in demand and doesn't have time to speak to all of her patients. So Clexane will be another thing that I'll be on. It's a blood thinner. Although all of my tests have come back normal for all of the blood clotting syndromes and sticky blood tests, elevated natural killer cells can still cause sticky blood, which can then obviously cause miscarriage. So the Clexane will definitely be on the list. Those are the 2 things that the fertility specialist has said she'll put on my treatment plan. I do want to talk to her about adding intralipid therapy to my treatment plan. I've heard of a lot of you on Instagram who have done intralipid therapy, and there's no real clinical evidence to support that it's guaranteed to help, but it's similar to the natural killer cells. Not all doctors believe an elevated level causes miscarriage because there's not a massive clinical study done on it. In saying that, other fertility specialists do believe there is a link. So I'm definitely glad I'm going to be treated for these elevated natural killer cells. I can see a neighbour is about to start mowing his lawn, so I better be quick. As far as the transfer goes, we're thinking we'll transfer in August. I just want to give myself time to research and make sure we're doing everything right leading up to the transfer, and you know, for my next pregnancy. We're just praying that this little embryo is our rainbow take-home baby. If any of you have any experience with intralipids, please share your story. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you've taken prednisolone during a pregnancy, what dose you were on. I'd be curious to know that as well. I don't want to take, 10 milligrams less than what I could be taking and it result in a miscarriage. I just want to avoid a miscarriage at all costs, obviously. I will be sure to update you guys on what my fertility specialist says in regards to increasing the prednisolone dose and intralipid therapy. I have no idea the cost of intralipids, but you know, I don't even care about the cost. We know for sure that this little embryo is healthy. We want to make sure that my body is able to support the pregnancy and do what it should. I'm so relieved and grateful that we have one healthy embryo. I was hoping that at least one of them would be normal, and I can't say how grateful I am enough. That's the update. I'm thrilled to share good news, and I'm praying it keeps coming. I hope you're all doing really well. It's a beautiful day today, so I'm going to try and get some vitamin D outside. But I will be sure to speak to you guys soon. I will be filming a Q&A shortly. Thank you so much for all of your questions. I received so many questions here on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. There were a few, so I might be splitting the Q&A into 2 videos because there are a ton of questions and it'll be a very long video otherwise. But keep your eyes peeled for that. There were some great questions in there. And there were a few of you who asked questions about my little Cooper, my little fur baby. So that was lovely. Hopefully I can include him in the video. He can make an appearance. Thanks so much for watching and all of your love and support. Hope you're having a lovely weekend, whatever you're doing. Take care of yourselves. Love and baby dust, and I'll speak to you really soon. Bye guys.
Wish that I could stay. Wish for this moment to never go away. But it's all in my mind, and though I know that there is nothing to find, you're a beautiful sight in the summer night, and you can't put up a fight in the misty light.